it's me, Nick, head of Max Mocks, and today I am back with another mock showcase. And we're doing another LEGO Former in this mock showcase today. And more specifically, this LEGO Former is actually a Bioformer. This is Umarak the Autobot Hunter. And what's interesting about this guy is that, well, he's very obviously just a very heavily retooled build of the original just Bionicle Umarak the Hunter. And so he's not really a mock, he's more of just a mod or modification of the original LEGO set. I have turned him into a Transformer because I wanted to. He was an idea that he could be like this nomadic Decepticon hunter type guy. If you're not familiar with Transformers, well, just watch my showcase on Drift. I explain it in that episode. Just watch it. He's a Decepticon, pretty obviously, because he has Autobot Hunter in his title. His alt mode is this very intimidating looking stag. And what's interesting about him being a stag in his alt mode is that stags and deer, for that matter, are usually considered as prey. Sorry about that. And because him being a hunter, well, wouldn't he be like more of a predatory animal, like a wolf or something? And the reason it shows a stag as his alt mode is, well, number one, he already had antlers, and I wanted to keep the antlers design for his when I modified him. So that was my first reason. And also because I thought it would be cool for his hunting technique to be that he disguises himself as a slightly larger than usual deer. And before he became a Decepticon, he was a Predacon hunter, so he would attract a Predacon or any other sort of like wild Cybertronian or Earth animal, and then of course he would transform and attack it. I move him over here. He comes with this cool the energy bow, and this is also just a heavy retooling of the original bow he came with, but now I've given him this string piece that goes around the back, basically the arrow, so it actually more or less resembles a bow, unlike the other one, which was just a little confusing. And it works basically like the original bow did, but I don't really want to fire it. You twist this and these would fire, but I don't really want to fire it because these things around it would go really far, and I just don't want to have to like go searching for them in the middle of a video. So, pulling this over here, it is actually possible for him to hold the bow in his alternate mode. You just flip these up, and these are just his feet. His feet kind of just flip around. And then you'll notice, if I zoom in, that right there, there's that little X piece. Wait, no, it's not. Is it right there? No, it's not. Yeah, it's right. I think that's where we plug in. Well, actually, no, I made a mistake. No. There's that little cross piece right there. That's where it's going to plug into. And then they're just going to lock right together. And then, oh crud. That doesn't look right. You're just going to balance it up. And then he has this very strange looking bow on his alternate mode. Now I sort of just fucked it up as the last minute. He really isn't intended to be carrying his bow. I'm sorry, gotta stand him up. He can be a little finicky in his alt mode. But honestly, I don't think that looks that bad. It does look kind of cool if you want to display him in his alt mode. And of course, it's for display. It's kind of for display purposes and also storage purposes. That's I tend to lose my Transformer accessories and weapons very easily, so well, that just kind of works if you're a person like me. Because he's an animal in his alternate mode, he needs some posability. So, for posability, his front leg can move up and down, and bend here, the elbow, or bend here, I guess more accurately. And, crud. This ball popped up. Off. Oh, that's weird. How doing that? Okay. He has a foot bend, and it can also sort of double jointed, so you can sort of have an ankle pivot, or I guess not really an ankle pivot, front hoof pivot, and yeah, his hoof moves up and down. To the back legs, these back legs are basically just entirely constructions on their own, or an entire construction on their own. And you'll notice that his legs are basically just up here. They fold around, so these back legs aren't the most secure because they're just an attachment that hangs right down, but you can still get some visibility. They move forward and backwards, and then they have sort of a knee bend right up here, and then their hoof can move up and down. If we move back here, it's basically just that entire rotation is basically just mirrored on this side, so well, but he has a tail pivot, and the tail goes up kind of far. I'm not sure what. And the reason that is because his tail is his blade disguised, and it does. I don't recommend, and I wouldn't really move it that far because that doesn't look natural, and neither does moving it down that far. But when you keep it right there, it works. And you can slightly move it from side to side, but hey, it's just his tail. Who really cares about all that stuff? Now, as for his head, let me zoom in. Now, I'm not fooling anyone here with the head. It's basically just this deer head that I built out of Legos, and it looks okay, but I'm not 100% happy with the way it came out. I think it might, maybe some more detail on it would be good. But yeah, it's basically just masking his real face. So he really doesn't have much posability or articulation here, but he does have a mouth that can open and close. And it can move down, but then, oh gosh, his head's just right there. So if you want to move down, you'll actually have to get his entire head down, and then just keep. Then that sort of is what gets him down, and then he really can't look up at all. But basically, so yeah, his vehicle mode isn't that. I guess no, it's not. It's not vehicle. It's alternate mode. It's okay. But it really isn't that great, so. But the good news is that his robot mode, which looks pretty cool, basically makes up for all that. So let's get to transformation. To transform Umarak, you have to start back here with the legs where it's really messy. Then what you do is just take these back sections, flip out the toes, and just rotate them all the way back here. Once you rotate them back here, you'll see how this ball socket meets up with this indent, or I guess the ball socket meets up with the ball itself. And then they'll just plug that in, like so. Then you'll plug it in on the back. Now, you'll plug this in right here. And you'll come to the tail right there. Let me zoom out. And like I said earlier, it's basically his blade, and what it'll do is, it will just flip around like so, and then fold out. Then what you're going to do is you're going to want to collapse the legs in, and then just push in the hooves to lock them in place, basically. And you're going to do the same thing with this side. And just lock that in. And flip his blade around. And there we go. Now we just stand him up properly, and just sometimes these have to help. We have his legs fully transformed. Now if we move up to the top. Oh shoot, don't want that to happen. We have these hooves are already flip up, and then you just turn the wrists that way. And then you just set them down. Then flip this entire head section down, close the mouth. Sometimes it will fall off here. Was afraid it would because it's on camera. Then you're just going to try and flip down the shoulder pads. Flip up the head. You'll see has strong resemblance to the original Umarak now. And then on the back, you flip around his quiver. Yes, believe it or not, that's a quiver. And you just want to leave it off center like that, so kind of has that smooth surface, and it just kind of meets up, so we could like pull around. And those pneumatic things are actually supposed to be arrows, but I'll get to that later. And if I just get him up, and finish him standing him up. There he is in his robot mode. This is Umarak in his robot mode, and I really love how he looks. He is very obviously Umarak. We have some very slight differences to, of course, make him a transformer. I replaced his chest plate with a deer head, which I pretty much knew I was from the beginning. I sort of did that in some of the drawings I did. I did actually originally was going to have the antlers come down on the head, which probably would have allowed some more posability, but I decided that wouldn't allow as much posability in the arms, and it wouldn't be as recognizably Umarak the Hunter, so left them up on his head. He has really great posability in this mode, and because he's kind of unstable, sometimes you'll have to place these down to help him stand up, and that makes him get out of the way slightly. I do like the way his legs look folded up, but I do like the way they look folded up, but sometimes I think it just works better to have them down, just to give him some extra articulation. But yes, he can move. Basically, even though it's a bit difficult to get out of the way, he has a 360-degree rotation at the shoulders, and he can move in and out. Has an elbow bend, and oh my gosh, it's two-way. His wrist has a ball joint, and that means it can also swivel. And you can do whatever with these. They're just something that they're just leftover kibble from his deer mode. Down here, he has a rotation at the hip. Wait, no, not hip. He can, I guess I should mention that he can still rotate his upper body. But yes, he has a leg rotation right here. Then right up here, if you just move his blade out of the way, he has a knee joint. Looks pretty good. And then down here, he has a tough ankle joint. No pivot really, though, but you can sort of do that with his leg. But he does have some toe movement, so that's kind of nice. And that's all stuff that the original Umarak the Hunter had too, so not really anything new there. And you can get some posability out of these shoulder pads. So yeah, until you can get some decent poses out of him. Unlike the original Umarak the Hunter, Umarak can now actually hold his machete slash knife thing, slash blade knife thing. And you can get some pretty cool poses out of him with it, like I have him set up now. And of course, he can also hold his energy bow. This looks really good with him in his robot mode, and it also looks functional too. Now, like I said before, I'm not going to fire this because it's going to be difficult. So, but to make up for that, no, not to make up for that, but cool thing I did, I actually included this little tab over here on this hand, or this fist, and this allows him to plug that in. It looks like he has a little mechanism in his hand that allows him to pull back the bow and launch an arrow. And of course, him being a Bionicle figure, or Bionicle figure originally, he has the function in his antlers where you just tilt that. Yeah, you can change his face mask. You can, if you want to, put the golden mask on him that came with his original set. Doesn't really work. It's okay looking, doesn't really work out much. Not in my opinion. One quick thing I forgot to mention before we go to pros and cons. He actually has some ammo storage underneath his quiver. The pros of this mock are that I love his robot mode. It is just obviously the original Umarak the Hunter, and because it is just Umarak the Hunter with some change of pieces, but that's what I like about it. I love how I was able to just keep that decently and add some more details to it. Love the quiver, that was a bit flimsy, and also I love the way his weapons come out. I like how these legs fold up here. That makes them look... Originally, before I figured out that you could do that with them, they were just like hanging off the side and they were a bit unattractive looking, so I like doing that with them and they kind of look like they might be storage bags or something. But anyway, they don't look like big deer legs hanging off him. And I love the blade. Love the bow. The bow looks way more like a bow than it did in the original set, and thus I think it works much better with the character. And I did originally plan to make the bow actually working with like a pullback action and an arrow would fly out, but it was just way too difficult and wouldn't have worked. And yeah, that looks nice. And over here he has, I do like the quiver, and how it does store for weapons, though it is a bit flimsy, and like I said, I'll get to that a bit later. And yeah, he just looks great in his robot mode. And also I like his alternate mode. It's not my favorite of the two modes, but it works very well, I think. It looks like a deer, and he doesn't really resemble much of a transformer, as a good transformer should. As for cons, very few. This has a tendency, the quiver back here, to be flimsy and for the back end to fall off, so I don't really like that. And in alternate mode, he's just a bit messy in the back area with the legs and stuff because there's nothing really holding him together. But otherwise, very few problems I have with this guy. Overall, this is a really cool MOC, and I really love the way it came out. Thank you very much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next episode. Goodbye.